Hey, what's up? My name is John Bonjour. I'm a comic artist and film enthusiast. I have drawn some art, and I would like to enthuse about some film. Today we are talking about Final Destination Bloodlines. Okay, so this is the sixth Final Destination movie. It is coming 14 years after the previous film. I honestly thought 5 was going to be the end of the franchise, and I think I mentioned this before in my ranking video, which you can go check out right now, that I was a little bit worried when we were talking about making another Final Destination. I was even more worried when I found out that that was going to be an HBO Max original, which would then be a Max original, which would now be an HBO Max original. That's kind of fun. But I was concerned about what we were getting as a follow-up, and I'd heard some things about what the general concept of the movie might be, and it just all wasn't adding up. I was a little bit worried because I'm a huge fan of the Final Destination movies. Again, I made a ranking video. I've never made a ranking video before, but I just wanted to because I love these movies so much. So I was a little bit worried going into this movie. I'm going to do some non-spoiler thoughts, and then I'm going to do some spoiler thoughts, but generally speaking, non-spoiler thoughts. Y'all, this movie rules. I'm just so thrilled that this is not only a great addition to the franchise, but a really fun movie on its own. It's just like, yes, it is a good Final Destination movie. It is also just a very, very fun movie. It's a solid horror movie. It's a lot funnier than any of the other ones have been, which, again, another piece of the puzzle that I think would probably be a bad thing in my mind. Turns out to be really fun. It's hilarious. Whoever wrote this movie, I should probably look that up, but I haven't, and I'm recording now. Whoever wrote this movie did a wonderful job. There's also a series of great actors. This is probably my favorite cast of characters that we've gotten in a Final Destination movie. The dynamics are fun. It's a family. It's a group. So it's already people that know each other and are connected to each other, and I think that's a fun add. It's a different thing for the franchise. It's just a great movie. Yeah, I honestly can't say a whole ton more other than I really loved this movie. I don't really have any major complaints. I'll get to that later, but I don't really have any major complaints. And if you like the Final Destination movies, if you are a fan of the Final Destination movies, I think you'll really like this one, and you should definitely check it out. One other quick non-spoiler thought is just that I really appreciate that the marketing for this movie didn't spoil everything. Go marketing. I always want to applaud good marketing, good trailers that don't tell you everything about the movie. I had seen a couple of things from this. I had seen an original trailer and then another kind of further along the line trailer. Did show us a couple of different kills from the movie, but they were both early on in the movie. I mean, relatively speaking, they were both the first couple of kills. There's obviously the inciting incident that these always have, and then there's another kill later on that I think was the second kill of the movie. So I appreciate that the marketing of this film did not spoil everything. I don't think there's anything, at least that I remember, from the third act at all, which should be a general rule. I don't know why that isn't a rule for all marketing. There should never be anything from the third act. It's hog wild to show any footage from the third act because that's not really what this is about. The point being, Final Destination Bloodlines is absolutely phenomenal, and if you don't know anything about it and you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend going to check it out if you like these movies. If you don't know if you like these movies, this would be a great one to find out on. This would be a great movie to decide if you like Final Destination. If you don't like gore, this is not the movie for you. This isn't the franchise for you. And that's okay. Not everything is for everybody. From here on out, we're going to dive into some spoiler thoughts. But before we do that, 2 quick things I want to plug, really just so quick. Please don't skip this. I just want to tell you that I have a free comic book. It's called Edge of Bordertown. It's on my website, johnbonart.com, JONBONART.com. You probably got the last part without me telling you. It is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi comedy drama about a guy with an octopus head. And I think it rules, honestly. Like, I'm really proud of it, and I want you to go read it. So if you haven't read that, go read Edge of Bordertown. Again, that's on my website, johnbonart.com, JONBONART.com. Again, I gotta stop doing that. The other thing I want to plug really quick, at this point, I would have skipped, so I don't blame you. The other thing I want to plug really quick is MPRPH, the Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour. It is a podcast that I do with my 2 best friends in the world, Lincoln and Preston, and it's so fun. We make each other watch bad movies. It's a hell of a time. The last movie we talked about was Death Race with Jason Statham. The upcoming episode will be on M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. That's all that I really needed to say. On with the video, some spoiler thoughts for Final Destination Bloodlines. Boise, are there some kills in this movie? This is just... Final Destination is one of those franchises that is... I judge it on such a different level from any other movie franchise, any other film. And I don't know if that's fair. I think it just is kind of what it is. The franchise has set the expectation to be what it will be, and it lives into that in a way that I think is really fun. Final Destination as a franchise is not smart. So yeah, is the story for this movie a little bit weak? Are some of the character dynamics not completely working? Are some of the actors, some of the lines really cheesy and way overplayed? Absolutely. And that could be seen as a downside of this movie, but also a lady gets her head smushed by a garbage compactor. And like, I don't know, like that might just be enough for me in these. I think that there is an element of just popcorn, pure theme park carnage that these end up being that I think is just really fun. And that is what the franchise is. That's what you expect out of these movies, and expecting anything else, hoping for anything else. Honestly, if we got anything else, it is just setting yourself up for disappointment. This is a movie that I was a little bit worried was gonna kind of end up being unnecessary. And that's not to say that any movie is necessary, but I was expecting this movie to be a little bit Scream 6-ish, 5 and 6. I don't know if that means anything. Those are movies I really enjoy, but there is an element of understanding in those movies of what the franchise is that I think Scream 1, 2, and 3 just don't have. Those are genuine movies that are trying to be a little bit meta. 5 and 6, especially for Scream, they tend to just kind of lean too meta for me. They tend to be like, oh, we're doing a requel. Isn't that fun that we're saying we're doing a requel? And it's like, kind of, but also I just wish you would actually do it. Like, that would be more interesting to me if you just did it. And you know what? Final Destination Bloodlines just does the damn thing. It just does it. It just makes a Final Destination movie. It explains some things that I want to talk about in a second that I was not expecting to have an answer to. The way that the story is set up, the original inciting incident is in the 50s or 60s, I can't remember, with Iris and some other guy, not Iris from The Flash, her name just happens to be Iris. Anyway, they're in a big building, it's basically the Space Needle, and it collapses and a bunch of people die, as these are wont to do. Point being, the inciting incident is really, really good. There was a moment where I was worried we were gonna have to follow that stupid idiot bullshit kid, and I'm so glad that we don't have to, because he sucks, and I never want to see him ever again because he's the worst, and he reminds me of the kid from Polar Express. But the carnage that ensues is immediately from the get, basically this movie looking at you and going, yeah, we're a Final Destination movie, we're gonna be gory, we're gonna go crazy, we're gonna do some stuff you've never seen before, and it's gonna be fun. And I kind of thought for a second, because I don't remember a ton from the trailers, I thought that this might just be set in the 50s and 60s. A thing I was kind of interested in seeing. But instead of following Iris and those characters, we cut to our actual protagonist, who is, I cannot remember her name, and I also can't remember the actor's name. So, with the protagonist, wakes up in class screaming she had this dream about her grandmother. And the concept of this movie, the thing that I had actually heard, I had heard correctly, the rumors of the plot of this movie were true. This idea that Iris saved so many people that day on that building, that death has taken so many years, decades, to get through the line, through these series of families that are all caught up in this Rube Goldberg machine of death that they were never supposed to exist. And so now death is finally making its way to Iris's family, the original, the person who was supposed to die last, which I think, on paper, kind of sucks. Like, I had heard that might be what this is about, and I thought, that's stupid, that's not what these movies are. This movie completely pulls it off. Bloodlines does a phenomenal job of completely selling me on that idea. I do think, just as a minor criticism of the film, the pacing is wild. It takes a very long time to become a movie, or most certainly it takes a long time to become a Final Destination movie. I don't know, there's a formula that we expect from these movies, and I feel my brain fighting against it in this one, and I think that's okay. Like, I like the idea that she's just having this dream about her grandmother and has to solve that mystery before the Final Destination thing can start. It sells us on the family dynamics in a way that I think a lot of these others kind of don't, and in a way that makes me care a lot more about these characters when they die. So while the pacing is a little bit weird, I think it does end up serving the movie well, because I do care about this family as they are all being picked off by death. Not so much that I'm sad about any of them. There's a couple of characters that I would have been sad if they died, and I think the movie did a pretty good job of just making them like, they're not related, it's fine, don't worry about it. But yeah, overall, this movie is wonderful. It is a fantastic Final Destination movie. You've got all the gory kills, just so many just horrendously gory kills. The thing that I noticed about these kills as I was walking out of the theater is that they feel like a blend of early and late Final Destination franchise kills. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think the lawnmower kill kind of feels more original Final Destination-y. It's not as gross. I mean, it's still pretty gross, but it's not as gross. It doesn't take as much CGI. It feels a little bit more grounded. ever so slightly. And then things like the magnetic screw and the garbage truck feel a little bit more later Final Destination. They feel like 4 and 5. Possibly because that's just a lot more CGI, but also possibly just I think that there is a meanness and an extra creative juice to those kinds of kills that I like that we're getting a balance of both of them. Speaking of CGI, it's great. Like it is so much better than 4 and 5. The CGI in this film looks beautiful, gross, disgusting, but beautiful. I think the story is very interesting and engaging. It does make me wonder, are we to assume that the other Final Destination movies are also part of this bloodline? Or not this bloodline, but the lineage from that original event? I'm not entirely sure. I think that there's absolutely a possibility that that's true. I also think it's possible that those are just separate occurrences that Death is just like kind of trying to manage all the time. I don't know. I don't think it was super clear about that. I might have missed that. If you caught something in there that I didn't catch, I would love to hear about it. But this does exactly what you want from a Final Destination movie. The tension is there, the kills are there. They talk to Tony Todd, which, by the way, wonderful performance. That's an answer that we get. We know kind of what Tony Todd's deal is in these movies. This movie reveals that he was in the original accident. He was the last to die on that building, and he has now just been watching generations on generations of people follow through these events, which is a point in the favor of the other Final Destination movies being connected to this. Either way, it honestly kind of works. I think it's fun in both directions, so I'm not too worried about that. Last thing about this movie, every Final Destination movie just has to end on this absolutely bitter note, and I think this really nails it. Having that train accident with the logs, which is a fun little touch, just obliterate the kids, was just really good. You know, it was just like a good way to end it, and it just cuts hard stop to that. Great credits design, just across the board, a wonderful time at the movies. And that's my overall thoughts on Final Destination Bloodlines. It's just a hell of a time at the movies. If you like the Final Destination movies, I think you will probably like this, on the off chance you haven't seen it and are watching the spoiler section. But I would love to hear what you thought, assuming you have seen the movie. What did you think of Final Destination Bloodlines? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video and checking out my channel if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on movies, comics, TV shows, horribly gory, violent deaths in film. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and comment down below what you'd like me to review next. Wow, that was so tough. Or do none of those things because I am not your dad. Not Iris from The Flash, her name just happens to be Irish. Not Iris from The Flash, her name just happens to be Irish. Anyway, not Irish, not...